Okay, we got audio. Sweet. So, first, starting off, this is a charity stream, so if you get the chance, please check out the links in the description. There are several links there, all to charitable organizations that help out with our natural wildlife and ecosystems. Now, we're going to today during the stream, we're going to discuss a Fallout New Vegas and by association also an Elder Scrolls deep dive. So, Fallout New Vegas. First of all, what is Fallout New Vegas? Where does Fallout New Vegas come from? Well, Fallout New Vegas follows, uh, if you check out its engine, the way it plays, not too different than Morrowind. So, what is Morrowind? Morrowind is a game about uh, Cerulean, Cerulean, the Cerulean philosophy. What is the Cerulean philosophy? The Cerulean philosophy is that there are certain parts in life that, as a species, humanity has currently taken the role of, but throughout time, other species have taken the role of and eventually collapsed and died and devolved into beasts. Um, so the people from Morrowind, they were obsessed with this global paranoia of these creatures called machine elves or machine goblins, machine elves. They're what the Irish call the little people, what the Hawaiians call the menehune. There's these little creatures that live inside of everything, and they make everything tick. And the way I kind of stumbled upon this theory or whatever, this idea for this deep dive, the central theme, was watching two streamers play Toontown. So this morning I watched a streamer called Meat play Toontown, and previously I've been tuning into some streams of a streamer called Lapankatsu playing Toontown. And when I was watching them play Toontown, I was like, oh, this is like that machine elf thing. They're all obsessed with this global paranoia of this machine elf. So, anyways, the so I guess you could throw in Toontown in the mix too if you wanted to. But anyways, what you've got here is a battle. It's a computer simulation of a battle that's happening within the world of the little people. That's happening within the world of these machine elves. That's happening in the divine world, in heaven and hell, the world of spirits, the world beyond ours. A computer simulation of a battle between good and evil. And I don't mean good and evil like this is good, this is definitely good, this is evil, this is definitely evil. I just mean like heavenly and devilish, so righteous and mischievous. Um, so what you've got is, if you want to summarize it, you've got the red diamond and the blue diamond. The red diamond is endurance, it's everlasting love, it's marriage, it's grand intelligence, supreme intelligence, flawless beauty, uh, divine blessing in essence. It's your health points. In Fallout New Vegas, it's the HP, the health points that flows through your veins, the FEV virus that flows through your veins. I know that sounds stupid. FEV, the forced evolution virus that flows through your veins. This divine beauty, this divine intelligence, divine blessing. In Skyrim, it's the celestial blessing, the blessing of the heavens, of old Eldnofe, the blood that runs in their veins. Uh, that is their divine blessing, their divine. In Elder Scrolls, it's the celestial blessing, the stars. The power of the stars runs throughout the veins of each organism to different degrees. Every creature is blessed different. So, um, what is the other thing? Well, the other thing is the mind. So, your the red diamond is love, marriage, everlasting love, uh, endurance, to endure all trials, and to succeed through supreme intelligence or divine blessing. The blue diamond is so that would make the red diamond old world dismay and new world. Oh no, hold on. Yeah, old world. Hold on. No, it's yeah, old world hope. The red diamond is old world hope and new world dismay. So the red diamond is the story of the Odyssey, the story of the man who, despite every single um, trial thrown his way, through the help of the gods, was able to achieve returning back to his wife and children and raising them. Uh, Whereas the blue diamond, which is hope, is Pandora's box. It's when the world was once a beautiful, flawless place where people lived eternally. And because of mischievousness, Pandora opened a box and let out horrors upon the known world, which were irreversible, causing death, destruction, disease, but also bringing something new into the world, something that was not known to the world before. And this jewel is known as hope. So this is old world blues, new world hope. So the woes of the old world is the hope of the new world. So it's in Fallout New Vegas. It's the idea. The red diamond is the idea that you fall for every trick and you support Mr. House or any ending. The blue diamond is the idea that you know that there is an end, but you don't run to it. You don't rush to it. We all go to our end eventually, but the blue diamond is having the knowledge. It's using more than just your divine blessing. It's using more than just your heart, than your HP, than the blood that runs in your veins. The blue diamond is to know that there is an end, but not to rush to it, not to sprint to it. So it is to know that Mr. House is out there and what his intentions are, but not to run to it. It is wisdom. It is intelligence. It's thinking with your noggin, with your noodle. Okay. So now let's get deeper into. Oh, okay. Before we get deep into the specifics, let's go back to what Fallout New Vegas and Elder Scrolls and even Toontown, if you want to throw that in the mix. It's as a computer simulated world representing the struggle in the spirit realm, in the shadow realm, in the world of good and evil. But I don't mean evil like wickedness necessarily. I mean evil like mischievousness, for the most part. So, if you've ever watched the movie Leprechauns by Hallmark, the movie Leprechauns by Hallmark, or if you've ever watched Peter Pan, they have the world of fantasy, and it's divided into. In Leprechauns, it's divided between leprechauns and fairies. Now, this is not necessarily the easiest division, as you can imagine, because there's a lot of creatures in the world of fantasy that don't necessarily swear total loyalty to one party or the other. Like, for example, trolls. Trolls don't care either which way, but for the most part, due to their mischievous nature, they do seem to, for the most part, their alliances do seem to lean more leprechaun side. So, in the story that we're speaking of, that would be the side of hell. So, in Elder Scrolls, that would be the Daedra. And in Fallout New Vegas, that would be whoever is pulling the strings of that story. More than likely, whoever hired the Okay, okay. So there's a popular theory in Fallout that there's this creature called the something mind creature or something. It's this divine being, a Cthulhu monster that grants everlasting life to anybody who's been exposed to it. So I would guess that this being is on one side of the spectrum, and on the other hand, the other side. So he's probably in charge of. Uh, I would guess, since he is a divine being, maybe the fairies, maybe not though. So maybe the good guys, the angels, maybe not. So instead of saying fairies and leprechauns, just for the sake of convenience, let's say angels and demons. Uh, so okay, so you've got two things struggling here. You've got the Lords of Logic. In Fallout New Vegas, they call them Vault-Tec. In Elder Scrolls, they call them the Dwarfs. Divine logic, divine intelligence, endurance that lasts throughout lifetimes, beyond your own existence, intelligence that is flawless, intelligence that never ends, love that never ends, a divine blessing. So, the dwarfs have this in Elder Scrolls. So do the Yakuza to an extent. I think they're the former Red Guards. They have sword singing. But anyways, we'll get to that later. So you've got divine intelligence, golden, flawless cogs. And then you've got, on the other hand, mischievousness. In Toontown, it's your tune. In Fallout New Vegas, it's you. And many of these creatures, the FEV creatures, the Deathclaw, the Nightkin, Night Stalkers, super mutants, these creatures extremely blessed in divine power that don't use it for logical reasons, that instead use it for either fun or whatever suits them. These are creatures of mischievousness, which would make them demonic creatures. As Jason Bright would say inside of the Fallout New Vegas quest, the Nightkin are demons. But he doesn't mean they're wicked or evil necessarily, it's just that they're granted with divine power. And they use that divine power for non-logical reasons. So, to Jason Bright, granting himself power, going into the sun, and absorbing all of the power of the red sun, and then coming to Earth and conquering it, that is right. That is righteousness. That is good. That is angelic, heavenly. So that makes Jason Bright a good guy in his mind to grant himself power by seizing it. And the Nightkin, who don't necessarily care about that stuff because they're highly schizophrenic, are demons because they don't understand that they're granted with a great amount of divine power, more than the ghouls. But they refuse to do anything with their blessing. They squander their blessing, in Jason Bright's opinion. So the Nightkin enjoy to feast. They like to feast, and they like to sneak around. That's what they like to do. Jason Bright sees that as a waste of their divine blessing, which makes them a demon. Since they like to live the way that pleases them, and since the way they live that pleases them does not grant them more power with the power that they are given, since they do not have the desire to rule the world, they are demons. It's like Spider-Man says, great power means great responsibility. And since the Nightkins refuse to use their great power for responsibility, that places them in the realm of demons or leprechauns. So once again, we're not saying demons are evil. We're just saying it's a faction, kind of. And it just so happens that the Nightkin kind of fall under that faction. In the world of mischievous versus noble. So if you have noble causes versus personal, mischievous causes, There's good and evil that way. So, anyways, we're gonna break down the races of Fallout New Vegas and Skyrim or Elder Scrolls and put those together. So, when I was putting together this list, I forgot about the Khajiits and the Argonians. So, we're gonna start with the Khajiits and the Argonians. So, in Fallout New Vegas, you've got these guys called the Vipers. They've got scaly skin. According to popular lore tellers, they got this scaly skin by wandering. So, first, they were a great and mighty civilization. They got their butts kicked hard by the NCR because they started stuff with the NCR. They bullied them, so the NCR came back and kicked their butts. Well, after they were just about killed to extinction, they ran off into caves. They found these serpents, and they let the serpents sting them repeatedly, or not sting them, bite them, venomize them. And that radiated FEV-rich venom flooded the mind of their leader and made him, in his opinion, made him more divine, made him a better leader, made him smarter, and made him just more powerful. And it was going to guarantee the preservation of their people, in his opinion. Now, in my opinion, it just made him crazy and more beast-like. But that was the Vipers from Fallout New Vegas, and their equivalent to Elder Scrolls are the Argonians, who drink piss sap to become more intelligent, to become better at serving their purpose. Now, the Vipers are a very tribal people who have resorted mostly to, just simple ambush tactics. They hide out in the middle of nowhere and attack people. So for the most part, they're very similar to assassins. Same as Argonians in Elder Scrolls are very similar to assassins. So then you got next is the Jackals. Sharpened teeth, rough skin, furry. Not furry to the extent of a Khajiit, but that's what their equivalent is. And the way the Jackals became this way, well, after the NCR kicked their butts, they wandered into the sands, into the deserts. And the sands roughed up their skin a bit, and they sharpened their teeth so that they could make cannibalization on their fallen friends easier. Now, one characteristic of the Jackals is that they make a substance called healing powder. You'll notice healing powder is a pretty popular item at Jackal camps. It just so happens that Sunny Smiles, who sends you on a death trip with her terrible advice, happens to know how to make healing powder and wears the same armor that Jackals, who still hold a bit of their previous status, wears. So Sunny Smiles could very possibly be a former Jackal, but she might have left the Jackal people sometime before they devolved into cannibalistic beastmen. Okay, next we've got the Mormons and the followers of the Apocalypse. Their equivalent would be the Dark Elves. And because of political reasons, I can't get too much into that one. I would love to, but I'm not going to touch that can of worms this time. You can figure out why on your own. Okay, next is the Brotherhood of Steel. And the Brotherhood of Steel were a faction who... the Brotherhood of Steel were a faction who originally served the main government, and their mission was to make FEV, the divine essence that flows through the veins of all mutants. So think of... so here we go for a second. I'm going to skip ahead. So High Elves. Think of High Elves kind of like Mew from Pokemon. So High Elves have a divine blessing that was given to them naturally by the divines. Very much like Mew. Mew too has a divine blessing that was given to him by manufactured man man's chemicals. So the Brotherhood of Steel are kind of like those scientists that manufactured that chemical that made Mewtwo. So this FEV, the Forced Evolution Virus, originally, according to popular lore experts, the fault lies on the Brotherhood of Steel, which is why they spent the rest of eternity fighting the horrors and consequences of FEV. So their equivalent are the Red Guards, or the Akudans, who invented sword singing, which helped the dwarfs learn harmonics, and it helped the Nords learn the voice. So sword singing, the ability to bend reality, to basically kind of corrupt the computer simulation, that falls upon the Red Guards and the Brotherhood of Steel. Now, the Brotherhood of Steel and the Red Guards are not so different. They're noble crusaders who refuse to use necromancy. So, in Fallout New Vegas, necromancy would be using FEV to ghoulify creatures. You'll notice there's no ghouls amongst the ranks of the Brotherhood of Steel. Well, Red Guards are also very much against necromancy or the use of FEV. So, the use of man-made divine power. So, or reanimated life that's been reanimated by man. So the Red Guards and the Brotherhood of Steel are not too different in that sense. Another thing is the Red Guards are experts at martial artists. They are, in fact, the best martial artists in Elder Scrolls. The Brotherhood of Steel can teach you a lot about martial arts. They are excellent at weaponry, and they can learn just about any weapon you give them. Another thing is Red Guards are pirates. They like to take people's weapons so that they can learn them. Brotherhood of Steel are pirates. They like to take people's weapons to learn them. But they're not just pirates, they're noble crusaders who have a holy cause and refuse to practice what they consider evil things. Okay, next on the list, you have the Fiends. Now, the Fiends are people who have returned to nature, people who wish to only feast, get high, kill, and screw without raising children. To the Fiends, their closest equivalent. Oh, and the Fiends are also cannibals. So they consume the flesh of their foes, and they also feed the flesh of their foes to their furry friends. They are somewhat beast men. They have devolved quite a bit. They have scaly skin. They have purple skin. They're all over the place. So the Fiend's equivalent is the Wood Elf of Elder Scrolls. They are also people who have returned to nature that aren't against feasting upon the corpses of their fallen allies or foe. And they also have furry friends. Okay, next on the list, you have the Great Khans. The Great Khans are a tribal people who have united under one High King, one High Chieftain, one leader, a Papa Khan. Their equivalent in Elder Scrolls are the Nords. A tribal people, warlike people who have all united under one chieftain, one leader, a High King, sorry. This is the High King of Skyrim. Next, you've got Caesar's Legion. A militaristic tribal people who have united under one warlord. Their equivalent are the Stormcloaks, a militaristic tribal people who have united under one kind of dictator, Ulfric Stormcloak. Next you have the NCR, an imperial people united under one empress, Tandy, who is long dead, supposedly. Their equivalent to Skyrim are the Imperials. Not the Imperials, the race, the Imperials, the faction in Skyrim. Next, you've got dwarfs, as I mentioned. They are Vault-Tec, people of logical solutions, whose good vaults have lasted a lot of time, and there's no problems with their good vaults for the most part, outside of just slight corruption of the environment, people coming in and out. Next, you have ghoulified vaults. Vaults that have ghouls and FEV and all these problems, often no robots. These are enclaved vaults, so vaults that have been affected by the enclave. And I forget who I mentioned the enclave was. I didn't write it on the list. Um, but the enclave are totally one of these groups. Okay, next you have the immortals. So in Fallout New Vegas, there are immortal beings that have come in contact with a divine being, a Cthulhu monster from space that lives in the earth. These immortal beings vary from popular Fallout lore speakers have said there's this monster, this Cthulhu monster that made these mannequins and stuff. And if a person comes in contact with them, they become immortal. So it's very possible that House could be one of these immortals that live inside of this simulation without dying. That this guy that lives in Tenpenny is an immortal that came in contact with this creature. That there's many of these immortals that live for seemingly forever until they're killed. These would be the High Elves of Elder Scrolls. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so the Ghoulified vaults, the Enclave are the Heartland High Elves. The Heartland High Elves are people who had divine blessings, same as the High Elves, but they decided to practice some evil, wicked stuff, which would be FEV in Fallout, and that would be the Ghoulified vaults. So the control vaults that became ghoulified and corrupted, those would be Heartland High Elves. So those would be alien ruins in Elder Scrolls and Oblivion, as well as Daedric shrines or temples in Morrowind, and dragon cults in Skyrim. Okay, so now you've got super mutants. They are easily manipulated into joining giant armies. They are units. They are heavily armored, very strong. They don't. They're not high in number outside of when they make more of them by dumping people on FEV. Their equivalent are the orcs. Not the smartest race. For the most part, they were easily manipulated in the books to joining the Imperial Army and becoming the best heavily armored units in the Imperial Army, the best shield and heavy armor users. And then you've got FEV monsters, Nightkin. Oh my gosh. Then you've got FEV monsters, Nightkin, things of that sort. And FEV, Nightkin. So those in Elder Scrolls would be things such as trolls, goblins, ogres, giants. So they're basically creatures that have been given the artificial divine blessing, or what would be considered or Daedric power. In do you remember in Skyrim they have these Bretons that worship the old gods? Well, the old gods are the Daedra, and in Fallout they are FEV, so man-made divine blessing. So the FEV monsters that have been given man-made divine blessing, such as the Deathclaw and the Gecko, their equivalent would be the ogres, the giants, the trolls, the goblins, things of that sort in Elder Scrolls. So I missed one. There's also the Bretons. The Bretons are the Enclave remnants. So they are formerly the Heartland High Elves, who have bred with man, with just the locals, and taken up some of their philosophies and become remnants. So they're not quite those guys that lived on the oil rig anymore, that are causing destruction. Now they're just men, but they have the blood of the Heartland High Elves running through their veins. So they have the blood of the High Elves in them. So I think that is, for the most part, the list. And I guess what we're going to do now is divide the list into two, into fairies and leprechauns, angels and demons. So, Argonians. Divine Blessing from Vipers, devolved into Beastmen. They would fall under demons because they're more mischievous than they are trying to rule or gain power. Jackals, creatures that like to get high. That's going to have to fall under mischievous. That's going to have to fall under Hell's reign. Remnants, Bretons, people who have ruled the world and now choose to no longer rule the world. Once again, that's probably going to have to fall under Hell. The Mormons and followers, people who wish to rule the world but don't wish to take by force the means to rule the world, the Dark Elves. Probably gonna have to say, I'm not too sure on that one. Brotherhood of Steel, Red Guards, people who rule the world, wish to take the means of rule the world, but they handicap themselves. I'm gonna have to say Heaven. Fiends, what else? People who wish to return to nature. Not too sure, but anyways, what we got for sure is the dwarfs, the men of logic, who used logic to the extent that they destroyed themselves. They would have to fall under Heaven. They're as heaven as it gets. So in Fallout, Vault Tech is as heavenly as it gets. People who worship logic and knowledge. In a computer simulation, the one who has the most knowledge and logic is the greatest, is the most heavenly, is the most godlike. So Vault-Tec are the most heavenly of the heavenly when it comes to factions. So that would make the dwarfs of Elder Scrolls also the most heavenly of the heavenly. Now the thing is, so think about it in Lord of the Rings terms for a second. And once again, let's mention the Skyrim thing, the Spider-Man thing, that with great power comes great responsibility. So in the opinion of the dwarfs, their whole goal into life is to grab power and use that power responsibly. That is the dwarfs. That is the essence of heaven in Fallout and in Skyrim. To wield power responsibly. So, that makes the dwarfs and the Vault-Tec the tops. Heaven. At Hell, at the lowest depths of Hell, you've got the FEV monsters, which wield power due to divine blessing and don't wield it responsibly. They have returned to nature. They are beast creatures. They live freely and they follow their hearts. So yeah, that would be the lowest depths of Hell. I guess you might put the Enclave there as well, because they look to the Heartland High Elves and the Enclave. They look to wield power, but not responsibly, just for the sake of wielding it. And they'll wield it not logically for logical reasons, but only because they wish to achieve more power. So the dwarfs wield power so that they can responsibly use power. So we're going to go to Lord of the Rings for a second. So in Lord of the Rings, you've got Gandalf, who has divine blessing. And he uses that divine blessing to preserve the natural world. He would be in the world of heaven. Then you've got the dragon, Smaug. The dragon Smaug is granted almost unlimited divine power, so much so that even Gandalf would avoid fighting him. Well, Smaug does not use that power responsibly or to preserve the natural world. He used it to get a bed of treasure to sleep on. So he does not, he is granted divine blessing, but he does not use it responsibly, which places Smaug in hell. So in the world of leprechauns and demons, mischievous in nature, he does not live or wield power. He does not live to achieve power, and he does not achieve power to rule or be responsible. So that is the total summary of this deep dive into Fallout New Vegas, Elder Scrolls, and Toontown if you want to throw that in the mix. That's going to be all for now. This is a charity stream, just a reminder. So if you get the chance, please check out the links in the description. There are several links there, all to helping out with charitable organizations to help out with our natural wildlife and ecosystems. That's going to be all for now. I hope you enjoyed this stream. Goodbye, everyone. Farewell. Oh, let me put my guy away first. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I whipped this up in maybe 40 minutes or an hour yesterday. You can tell it's kind of all over the place. But I mean, limited on time, so what are you going to do?